5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire. The only thing we have to fear is fear.
Mile 18.
This is Endurance Nation.
Free resource alert. Did you know that Enduro Station created the 4 keys of racing execution? That's right, the seminal framework that people use to put structure into an otherwise unorganized and chaotic race day. We created it back in 2009. I've been honing that process ever since across all manner of sport and work as well. Our athletes use it in all aspects of their lives. It's an opportunity for you to use a framework that boils down the most complex situations into critical steps that you can follow and prepares you for the challenges that exist on race day. We have this framework. It's available for you. It's free. You can actually go online. If you go to endurostation.us/4 keys, that's all written out, FOUR keys. You'll get an opportunity to download a free resource that explains the 4 keys to you, including a video from me, Coach Patrick, outlining how you can use it and opportunities to access even deeper resources down the line. This is your chance to break out of the chaos. If you've had bad races, messed up races, made simple mistakes, really wish when you cross the finish line that you can get that 30 minutes back, now you can. Plan ahead. Get the 4 keys at endurostation.us/4 keys.
Endurance Nation.
Hey there, Coach Patrick here, Enduro Station, talking to you today about triathlon bike execution and the 3 things that you need to know to make sure you have a fantastic bike. Let me tell you a story. Let me tell you a story about Coach Patrick and his first Ironman bike race, getting down Ironman Florida 2001, if you can count back that far, and not really knowing what I was getting into and being really excited to bike. I've been training on my own. I found one route that I rode every weekend, and I just rode a little further every weekend until I got up to 112. In fact, I remember the first time I did a century, I came back, I literally left my bike. I saw a pizzeria across the road. I just got off my bike on this side of the road, walked directly across the street, like left my triathlon bike, leaned up against the storefront, and just went inside and bought a Dr. Pepper. Because I could swear, I didn't even like Dr. Pepper. I could smell Dr. Pepper when I was riding my bike. I was like, I'm so hurting right now. So I was so excited to be there on race day. I felt professional. Getting ready to do this big event there with a friend. Like, let's do this, right? Okay, let's go. Got out there and rode the bike and had a pretty decent bike spot. I think I went 5:30 something. No idea. My first bike race, didn't know. I was pretty fit from college from being a rower. But here's the problem. When I got to the end of the bike, I realized that I hadn't stopped. And every other bike ride I'd done, I'd stopped. Traffic lights, brake stops, gas stations, and you name it, whatever, I stopped. And so what happened when young Coach Patrick got back into transition, I couldn't stand up. Like, I got off my bike, I couldn't stand up. My back was like locked up. Like, I was literally spent all the transition like hunched over, and the first couple miles as well in a tough spot. In fact, I had to tie my shoes at like mile 3 because I did a bad job in transition. I had to ask a kid to help me out because I couldn't actually reach my shoe. I put my foot up on top of something. I still couldn't really reach my shoe because I couldn't bend over. I had made the number 1 rookie mistake, which is that I expected to do something on race day that I had never done in training, and I blew myself up. So today we are going to unblowupify you and make sure that you have a fantastic race in your next long course or any distance of triathlon. Okay. So rule number 1 inside Enduro Station is that there's no such thing as a good bike followed by a bad run. In other words, the bicycle is the delivery system, the vehicle, the mechanism that brings you to the run and sets you up to have a good run. So all of the decisions that we're making on the bike are predicated on, is this going to help me or hinder me for my run? Okay, that's the number 1 do no harm rule. And what most triathletes do when they get on that bike, they're so happy that they've gotten out of the swim. They can now talk and yell and move around and stuff and go really, really fast. That's their jam. Maybe even catch some of those faster swimmers. They get on that bike and they start racing a bike. But not racing a bike like a bike racer would, because bike racers would draft and be smart and be cheesy, but work when they needed to work and not work. No, triathletes just go out like it's like a time trial, and they just start racing from the get-go. And they don't stop racing until they run out of energy. Problem is, the majority of us run out of energy long before the course is done with this business with us. And if you put yourself in that kind of position, you're going to have an absolutely horrible run. You'll be walking, holding hands, talking to other people, sharing all the great stories about this amazing bike split you had until all of a sudden you didn't. Okay, so within that context of understanding that everything that happens on the bike is really to set up your run, here are 3 things that I think are really important for you to think about. Okay, number 1, cycling nutrition. Like, the nutrition that you eat on the bike is everything that's going to power you not only through the bike, but also through the run as well. takes a while for that digestive tract to run. And what you eat and drink on the bike makes a massive difference. And as you work backwards, regardless if your bike is 6 hours or 4 hours or 3 hours and a half or whatever it is you're doing, that first hour of bike nutrition is the most important. It's when you get into your system, the system you've been practicing. It's when you start getting in fluids and food. Obviously, you've been swimming, so you've been, you probably want to pee and you burn some calories. It's time to start eating and get on track. All of that stuff starts to add up over time. If you do it right in a 6-hour day on the bike, by about hour 4, you're kind of topped off for most of your calories. You can have a little bit here or there, but at that point in time, you're just sort of keeping on top of things. You're not trying to make up or catch up or solve problems that you've created for yourself by skipping nutrition. So you want to have a great nutrition plan that we practiced. You want to get right into it in that first hour. That's your number one goal in that first hour, is to get the nutrition plan started so you can start following that process, whether you've got a timer or an auto lap function or whatever it is for you. But you want to have that plan in place and you want to hit it. So number one, excellent nutrition execution. All right. Number two, learning how to flatten the course. Okay. So, and when you're riding bikes or riding with friends, hills are great because we love to, use hills sort of a weapon, put pressure on other people, maybe leave them behind or make things harder, life harder, etc. The problem is that as triathletes, we're not really great at climbing on bikes, right? The minute we stand up on our bike, we go backwards, right? In a group ride, people hate you because you don't know what you're doing. Your shifters are out on the end of air bars. You're not doing a great job managing yourself. You got way too much fluids on your bike. You're not looking where you're going. It's just kind of wild, right? Well, and within that context, with all of your friends, you feel like you're a professional, but in reality, you're just a rookie like the rest of us. And at the end of the day, we don't really know how to ride a bike well on a course in a way to be strategic. And since the goal is to finish the bike as fast as we can, but still set ourselves up for a great run, we don't want to do anything that's going to sap all of our energy in one fell swoop. The fastest way to sap all of your energy in one fell swoop is to go way too hard up a hill, right? And that's not the goal when you're climbing a hill. In our world, inside Enduro Station, your job is to go as fast as you can safely sustain down a hill, and to make sure that you're going as fast as you can on the flats by aerodynamic positioning, smart decisions with your shifting, working on some of the rollers, etc., all of that stuff. So we want to go fast when conditions let us go fast. But when conditions get hard, we want to sit up, hands on the hoods, loose fingers, loose shoulders, spin those, spin the cadence, get the right gear in, sit up. The hills are not where the race is won. Now, if you're looking for the secret part of hills, that secret part of the hill is actually at the very, very tippy top of the hill. We'll use this little section here behind me, this roof section here, so you kind of get it. When you enter that hill at the bottom, you want to kind of basically keep that same effort. So you start climbing that hill, you're actually going to start slowing down going up the hill because you'll be keeping that same effort you had on the flat, right? But the minute you get to the top of that hill, you get back on the effort right away. This way, you've flattened out your heart rate. You've kept things in a good zone. You're kind of smart, etc. You get to the top here and you get right back on it. Maybe even a couple of hard pedal strokes to get you going from 10 miles an hour to 13 to 16 to 19, and then carry all that momentum down into the next section, right? What happens with someone else is when they start hit a hill, they start riding a lot faster. So like, we're racing on a hill, and you're like, I'm not racing. And they get to the top of the hill and they sit there and they start coasting and they go slow. You get up to the top of the hill and you go right past them, and you pass them by doing the work on the downhill and get the speed and the aerodynamic benefits. They blow themselves up on the hill. Their heart rate is out of control. They burn through matches. Their digestive tract is in a lot of trouble. They've accumulated a ton of heat. Now they got to try and get rid of all that before the next hill. Right? Odds are you do that 2 or 3 times, not going to happen anymore, and you're in big trouble. I know, because I've done it. Don't be like me. Okay, instead be smart. Flatten those hills out. Use your gears accordingly. When the road goes up, you sit up. There's no point in racing on a hill on the bike unless for some reason the finish line is there. But it's not, because it's a triathlon. So you've still got to run, right? Super important. And again, a lot of people really put themselves into a bad position there. And the third most important thing you can do on the bike as you go through this process of getting ready. I talked earlier about the nutrition. I just talked about flattening out that hills. The last thing I think is really important for triathletes on the bike is to actually have a race plan based on sections of the course. Okay. So if you take your course, most Ironman races are like, say, 2 loops for the most part. So if you can break that loop up into like 2 or 3 key sections, you can do those 2 or 3 key sections twice. And you know when things are getting hard and where you need to be cautious and where the places of opportunity lie. But having that plan actually gives you a job to do at certain periods of the race. Otherwise, left to your own devices, your mind starts to wander. But between the swim and the bike, you could be out there for 6, 7, 8 hours. Right? And who knows what's going through your mind, but you're certainly not thinking about nutrition. You're certainly not thinking about finding free speed. And you're certainly not thinking about setting yourself up for the run. Your mind's kind of wandering around. So the structure of breaking up the race course actually gives you a job to do at critical sections. It's fairly easy to do when you break out a race course and kind of look at the different types of terrain, but it's something we do inside Endurance Station all the time when we go through and create race plans and help athletes practice those race plans in their training sessions so that by the time it gets to race day, they've already done 2 race simulations. And this is their 3rd race in the same setup with the same nutrition, etc. And so they're really prepared to succeed. So those are the 3 things I want you to think about when you're getting into triathlon bike execution. I'll be back later with another version for the run, but understand that, again, the bike is really that delivery mechanism to get you to the run to be able to compete. And we want to make sure that you're exiting the bike in a place where you're fueled up, like topped off. Life is good there. You're in a great condition mentally in terms of having not only your blood sugar high, but you're anticipating the run because you've been riding within yourself. And so you have relatively good status with your RPE, and that you're functionally ready to run because you've got the fitness, you've done all the work beforehand, so you're ready to go. So once you kind of have all those different elements in place, it's really a lot easier to start focusing on the run and having a great run. Problem that most people have is that they're so excited about running that they don't think about what they're doing now. They lose sight of the now. They don't have a process. We've covered today for you is some of those process elements for having a great bike. If you've got questions, comments, feedback, thoughts, be sure to leave comments on the video. I'll be happy to help you out. Otherwise, be sure to check out our free race execution course. It's an email course you sign up for with your email address. We'll send it to you in a couple of modules. You get a sense of how to walk through it and prepare yourself using our 4 keys of race execution framework as a tool to help you out. All right. Thanks. Best of luck to you. I'll talk to you soon. Be well.
Endurance Nation.
Product of the week is our Race Saver bag. Stay cooler, race faster. Have you ever been in a race? You pass an aid station and then you can't wait for the next aid station. As a runner, you're just craving it. Even though they're only a mile apart on the road, it seems that each one is getting further and further apart. What if you could take the ice that you had at that last aid station and carry it with you? Not in a cup, not clinking around, but in a handy bag on your wrist. That, my friends, is the Race Saver bag. It takes advantage of your physiology where your body generates a protein that actually signals to your brain that you're cooling off. It happens in the core of your hand. Professional athletes use this, and now you can too. You can't race in the heat without managing your core temperature, and now you can. It's the Race Saver bag, and you can find it online at mile18inc.com/race-saver. That's mile18inc.com/race-saver, all one word. You can get your bag now. Hey, get 2. Share one with your friend or your loved one so you make sure they also have the race of their life. You don't slow down, and you make everyone else jealous out there on the race course. Get a Race Saver.
For more information about Endurance Nation, visit us online at endurancenation.us. The provided music is from the Podshow Podsafe Music Network. Check it out at music.podshow.com.